If there ever was such a thing as an ugly kid, then this is it. He's almost exquisite in his ugliness, like a gremlin.
Oh yeah, nappa gumpy Kuno!
Disco Elysium begins with a simple problem. You wake up on the floor of a trashed hotel room with no memory of who you are, what you do, or even what year it is. Very quickly, you learn that you're a detective. There's a body hanging behind the hotel, and you're supposed to be in charge of figuring out what's happened, despite barely being able to tie your own shoes. Hell, you've been here for 3 days and have no recollection. It's an isometric RPG about solving a murder in a decaying district of a city called Revachol, a cop drama technically. But instead of combat or traditional RPG elements, the game is driven almost entirely by conversations, both with other people and with the different parts of your own mind, which constantly chime in with their own opinions, memories, and bad ideas in every discussion.
As an expert, it's your duty to tell what you know.
In this video, I'm going to walk through the story as it unfolds, focusing on how Disco Elysium introduces its world, its mystery, and its unconventional protagonist, and how these pieces slowly come together as you stumble your way through the case. Expect spoilers, we're going right in. The game starts with an R.S. Thomas quote. The Furies are at home in the mirror. It is their address. Even the clearest water, if deep enough, can drown. In this game, we're going to be constantly bombarded by Harry's most negative thoughts and emotions. And even with clear understanding of them, they'll still keep cropping up to haunt us. It sets the tone for the game quite well for a first scene. Pressing begin, we start our journey. The first voice we hear is the ancient reptilian part of our brain.
There is nothing. Only warm primordial blackness. Your conscious ferments in it, no larger than a single grain of malt. You don't have to do anything anymore. Ever. Never, ever.
It briefly mentions an ex-wife, but we struggle in the dark void. Before we can get a chance to ask about it further, we realise we're a consciousness held within a body, as our limbic system begins to chime in.
An awareness creeps up on you. A mass lies hidden in your dead angle, soaking in some lurid acidic sauce. It's bloated and shameful.
Harry exists on the line between introspection and instability. His skills aren't just mindless stats, they are competing personalities living inside his body. A car roars past, jaunting us awake on the floor where Harry collapsed. Naked and still clutching the bottle from last night, you'll notice from the abstract art in the HUD, at this point, we know nothing. Hell, we don't even know we're called Harry, we don't know what our face looks like. So what we need to deduce first is who we are, why we're here, and where are our clothes. I looked to the window first, and our deduction skills, our visual calculus, helps us figure out what had smashed through it. If we hadn't got the points in this skill, Harry would have had to find another way. You know how that works. There's the shoes covered. Now some of our other clothes are strewn about in here. One shoe is hanging up, our pants are on the floor, ties on the fan. Things are strewn about, and there are a few checks to grab them. We find the keys to a place called the Whirling in Rags in our trouser pockets, and thanks to my points in Encyclopedia, I remembered that it's a hostel, and this must be our room here. We get dressed and then poke our head towards a nearby mirror to get a look at that face, which we probably shouldn't have.
Swollen and snail-like. Behold. You have no idea who this thing is, do you? It appears you're also dead. There's clearly rigor mortis on your face. Oh, please stop. It's horrible.
With our ego smashed, we head on out and meet our first resident of the place, a young woman having a smoke. She calls us Officer. She's a young woman, a party girl, and her dialogue indicates we've been here for 3 days on official police business. She refuses to say what we'd come here to investigate, and rather tells us we've spent a lot of time here drinking instead of doing our job. We try to flirt with her, and the spaghetti falls out of our pockets.
Could it be because of the drinking?
She hasn't had time to put her makeup on. This is her morning sip. The words have already left your mouth.
What was that? That's not even how words are used. What did you say? Come on, say it again. Come on, man. Pretty, please. When goddamn right you did. You crazy asshole, you.
She has a giggle and lets us know it's going to suck later.
Thank you. It's gonna suck for you later when you have to interrogate me.
And for the record, she didn't do it. Didn't do what? So far, you might be confused. What is this game actually about besides drunken stumbling? Whoever we are, we're a cop. Something bad enough has happened for us to be told an interrogation's going to be needed later. In fact, something bad enough we've been here for 3 days. We've hammered so many shots, we've lost most of, if not all of our memory. We're a bit of a loony, in a good way. The dialogue can be in both parts, intellectually stimulating, but also unhinged and hilarious. For instance, when we use Inland Empire to monologue to ourselves about singing karaoke.
You should totally sing karaoke here, the first chance you get. Your emotions need to be expressed.
Let's jump ahead and fill in enough blanks we can slow down again later. A man stands beside the bar of the hostel, and when we speak to him, he's quite short with us, telling us to instead speak to our buddy by the door. So this guy was the manager, Gart, and he does not seem to like us at all. By the door there are 2 people, either could be our buddy, a woman in the wheelchair and an Asian man who it turns out is our colleague.
Hello, I'm Kim Kitsuragi, Lieutenant, Precinct 57. You must be from the 41st.
You realize he's waiting for your name.
The first fun test is when he asks us our name and we don't know it. Either give him a fake one or just bluff your way out of the question. As I was trying to stay in his good books, I went with the latter there. With Kim here, there's a bit more structure. Our orange-jacketed daddy fills us in with a few details and what we've already messed up. The crime in question is a murder most foul, and we have left the body hanging there for the last 7 days. We'll need to deal with that and do some information gathering with the folks around here. Along with our missing name, we're also missing our badge and our gun, which are both really bad things for a cop to do. Kim is a member of our party now and will provide some nice scaffolding, as he's an actual by-the-books cop, rather than the disco mess we're playing as. We have many branching paths we can wander down to head towards a central resolution of our story. There's no real combat in this game as mentioned, and so it's a bit of a slow burner. Now, the woman next to him is the wife of a cryptozoologist, and we'll expand on her later slightly. She's not important to the main detective story, but she is an important point later on. Hell, there are actually so many points, I'll need to be careful on how I expand and who on. We're drip-fed so much information about the area we're in, its history, its politics. There's enough to make a monster of a deep dive, and I'd rather leave some meat on the bone for you folks to go away and play the game. Standing next to a pinball machine decorated in royalist iconography, we tell Kim we can't remember anything. And while he can't believe it, he gives us 2 options: chatting to him after the day's work has ended, or using his car radio to call our station's doctor. We also ask Kim about himself. He's part Sayalite, but knows nothing of the place, and would consider himself a Revacholier, Revachol being the city the game takes place in, even if we don't know that yet. I decide to speak with Gart first, the manager of this establishment. Kim introduces himself, and again, realising he doesn't know our name, we tell Gart we're in between names, and it's clear Gart does not like us at all. Kim asks him if he was the one who carried the body in, but no, it was an employee named Sylvie who isn't here at the moment. In the background, the cogs turn in our mind, and our inner voices give us some advice.
Ask him about the body's location before asking if he killed him. People give up information in the more innocuous questions, which you can later use in the more sinister ones, not vice versa.
We know for a fact that the body is hanging out back of the Whirling in Rags, and that it might have been a lynching. Our choice of questioning helped us out here, as when we ask Gart who did it, he slips using plurals when he's saying he didn't know who did it. He's heard rumours that the dock workers did the lynching, that the union men didn't appreciate a company security monkey coming in and they wanted to send a message to the non-unionists. As our questioning concludes, Gart tries to get us to pay our tab and, well, we run away.
Good for you. Was there something else?
Let's go.
Not so fast. You owe me 130 real.
As you blow this joint, behind you, a whiny voice shouts,
Real mature, man. Real mature.
Harry is such a shithouse. We check out Kim's hot rod, a well cared for vehicle, and go through the various options available, taking out his toolbox, phoning into our own station, discovering that nobody is prepared to tell us anything about ourselves. We even call in on Sylvie, who we assumed reported the body, and it turns out in the 3 missing days we were here, we were such a clown we made her quit her job. Luckily, it turns out she wasn't the one who reported the body, so we can park her for a few days while we explore other leads. I say that now in the script, but in the video I completely forgot to revisit her. We ask a gardener out front about the whereabouts of the body, confirming it was behind the building, and we take our gloves with us, with a plan to take it down. The body itself has one of the game's most entertaining characters alongside it. When you approach, you'll see a little ginger kid hucking rocks at this, mess of a corpse. The game introduces him.
Can't talk, pig. Shit's coming up strong. Throwing rocks.
Shit coming up strong. That sounds good. Joyous. I mean drugs.
I doubt he actually murdered the guy, but he's chucking rocks at it while his friend eggs him on. He's also high off his tits. The kid refers to himself in the third person, using this Kuno persona as a shield, and trying to dig into that just now will vilify him before he can give us any important information. But he is a great character to explore when you play yourself. Here you'll see he called me a nonce, and I got our first ending by losing all our morale. Lose all your morale, all your health, the game ends. Load back.
Help! He's got.
Everyone can hear. You need to get the hell out of here before.
Yeah? Get out of here before the Kuno beats the shit out of you.
Yeah, that's right. Drag your
Despair creeps into you, getting fat on your weakness.
Let's try again. We asked Kuno about the crime scene. He wasn't here when the event went down, claiming he was in Night City, accusing the body of climbing up the tree by itself. We decide to explore around before we ask any more questions. Now there's a dumpster here we could either pry open or get a key from Gart to open. Who knows what's in there, but it's close enough to be worth a dig, right? Harry is a keen dumpster diver, and besides cartons of eggs and spoiled milk, inside we find the victim's clothes. The most notable, a drab, olive-coloured garment that would typically be worn over ceramic armour the soldier would have worn. Think of it as power armour in this game. We also find a racist mug in there, which you can look into further if you wish. It's just a racist mug. Next, we check the corpse with a great little intro.
The corpse looks at you with bulging white eyes. The face around them does not look human. It's swollen and ready to burst. His lips are fish-like and his tongue like a ball gag in his mouth. You seem to be holding your breath. A cargo belt twists his neck at an unnatural angle. The
Active decay.
He's about to blow! Cop's gonna blow, Kuno!
The soldier has clearly been lynched here, hung by a cargo belt. To get closer and actually look at him, we need to deal with the days-old smell, and the game gives you a few different routes here, or you could just get lucky and tough through it. Harry has a mad hangover, and that isn't helping things at all, so we could go and do something else and hope the wind changes. Maybe get some smelling salts or pharmaceuticals to help. If you fail it enough, Kim tells you to get your shit together and you unlock a perk to help. Either way, let's skip ahead and look at the body, because in my playthrough here, I bottled my first 2 attempts of checking it. First, I start with the footprints leading away from the body, and there are several here. A skill check telling me 8 pairs of boots were involved in the crime. A collection of work boots, with the rarest being one that has a worn sole, just one shoe, and the other belonging to a rather large fellow. Our initial guess is that these line up to dock workers, and the worn sole could have been from erosion via a pedal driver. This does complicate things. When it comes to the body itself, the standout features are that he's covered in strange tattoos, and after being stripped naked, he's wearing some ceramic sabatons. We, being the little gannet we are, try to pull the boots off, and Kim stops us before we pull the head off with them. There is a way to get them, just not yet. Kim wants us to perform a field autopsy, but of course we need him down first. We take the serial number from the boots, and this is something Harry might want to omit from the autopsy if we plan on stealing them. The cargo strap around his neck is definitely from the harbour nearby, and we assume he was pulled up from the ground rather than dropped from above, as the ladder nearby wouldn't support an adult, let alone 2 of them. Kim takes a photo, and there's a few ways we can get the body down, but we settle with some disco excitement by shooting it down.
Is that what this is about?
The buckle explodes with your hand numb from the recoil. You looking straight at you. Help.
Communism.
It takes a millisecond for the association to flash with. Then the rigor in his muscles gives up.
Despite it being a challenging check, we ding the right spot and the body comes flopping. Harry asks the corpse who killed him and surprisingly gets an answer. We give a dude bro high five and start our autopsy. This is difficult given how long the body's been out here, but we managed to deduce the hanging was not the injury that killed the man, Rather, when we look inside his mouth and discover a thin bullet hole going straight through to the brain, bullet included, the man was shot before he was hung. But the bullet came from some pretty heavy weaponry, a higher caliber than even our own pistols, so not something dock workers would normally have. Now, we've got a cause of death and a few little hooks in various directions. It might be pertinent to go and speak to both the representative of the soldiers' company, the Wild Pines, or the union boss who handles the dock workers. One is much easier to get to than the other. See, there's a strike ongoing preventing easy access to the harbour, a huge demonstration outside the gates, and one of the folks chatting the loudest seems to be hiding some armour under his knitted shirt. One could deduce the soldier who died did not come alone, and speaking to the Wild Pines rep would corroborate this. We're not the only ones investigating this murder, there's some very dangerous people lurking around Martinez. The union leader is one of the most important characters to talk to, but to get to him, we need to get past a Seminese supremacist by either rocking his shit or becoming a student of his brand of racial theory. It's a very strange encounter in general. Either have the physical stats and learn the tricks to bop him, or waste a perk slot on his teaching. This manages to actually take another full day for me to prepare. So there's no real rush to get things done super quick, you're given plenty of time in this game, but you can miss certain things or be rushed into certain encounters if you take too long. I found the pacing to be great. Between day 1 and day 2, we speak to Kim out on the balcony of the hostel for a recap of where we've got to.
Then you shot the body down, which was quite the shot. I admit I wasn't sure whether. Moreover, you found that the hanged man wasn't just hanged, he was also shot. And you managed to locate and pull out the bullet, so we can get ballistics, make off the gun.
Then we fall asleep. Well, we try to. Harry's stuck in a nightmare where we're hanging instead of the body, a bloated corpse of a man reflecting us and hinting at Harry's past, that we had a wife at some point, and that Harry's internals seem to hate him, even if he can't remember why. The lizard part of our brain being juxtaposed by the silly delivery of our limbic system.
It's just time to go to work in the shit factory.
One little twist when we wake up on day 2 is that the Whirling in Rags is now occupied by dock workers, 7 of them, and they immediately become our prime suspects. A funnier twist is that the gardener whose gloves we borrowed wasn't a gardener at all, but a union lawyer sent to keep an eye on us. While we're technically the police, there's no love for the RCM in Martinez, and if we push too hard, we could easily end up on a tree ourselves. The leader of these 7 men is Titus Hardy, loud, abrasive, and clearly enjoying the fact he has numbers on us. Before he even speaks, we scan the room and confirm something important. The boots line up with the prints we found at the crime scene. Same work boots, same large sole, but one thing is missing, the 8th pair. Someone was there that night who isn't in this room. When we ask them outright if they lynched the man, Titus doesn't deny it. Instead, he spreads responsibility across the entire group.
Container belt? Because we took it from the harbor where we were. We did this together.
There's a catch hidden somewhere. He didn't confess so that you could take them all away. It's too simple.
It's an anti-arrest tactic, spread the blame wide enough that no one single person can be arrested. They grow defensive and we bring up the bullet. They don't like the autopsy, they don't like the idea the hanging wasn't what killed him, and every time we push, Titus lies. Not clumsily, but very deliberately, as if he's protecting someone. Titus tells us that the mercenary came to disrupt the strike, that he had raped a friend of theirs and that's why he was lynched. Despite being quite forthcoming about that information, he doesn't tell us any more, completely stonewalling us. We need more ammunition before we can rattle their story properly, so we finally head to the dock to speak to their boss. Now, so far we've got a victim, several suspects, 2 potential causes of death, a potential motive, but a lot of these things aren't sticking. At this point, 3 things don't line up. The lynching doesn't match the injuries, the story about the assault keeps shifting, and this 8th person no one wants to talk about. Crossing a giant loading bay to enter a specific container used as an office.
Before you is a walrus of a man.
Everett Clare seems to know who we are before we're even introduced, and is a bit of a slimy customer. He forces us to sit on the world's most uncomfortable chair as we continue to speak, literally making us lose health. He's asking us why we're here and already trying to bribe us. When that doesn't work, he brings up the matter of our missing gun, and while it's clear he's going to be blackmailing us into helping the union, luckily I don't mind getting a bit slimy.
What good? Now lean in with some corruption.
You can always take a different route, but Everard has a way with words for me. We discuss a few matters of note. That we believe the Union to be involved in the drugs trade following an earlier talk with the Wild Pines rep. He gives no information. Everett calls this a bit racy for how we got past Measurehead. In this playthrough, I sided with the racist. He also confirms our name is Harry Dubois, which for many players, this will be the first time you find that out. Now, Everard is cagey at best, and refuses to give us any actual important information until we demonstrate we're as slimy as we say. His first task being to go to a local apartment and just open a door for him there. Probably to scare someone, but he never spills the exact whys or hows. On a simultaneous track, we can get closer to Kuno by offering to steal drugs from his dad. The quest is literally called Splitting a Kilo with Kuno, and we're going to sell them with him, and it's a bit of a ride. We enter the apartment block, and the place is rather run down. Going to Kuno's apartment first, we find his real name is Kuno de Ruta, and we collect the drugs there. In a dark bedroom, there's a horrid sight under a duvet.
We could turn him on his side so he doesn't choke on his own vomit, but he's already on his side.
After discovering Kuno's sad life, we head out the back and find the door that Everard wanted us to open. That was of course what he'd asked, just open it. But our curiosity gets the best of us and we head inside. Spotting it's a Revacholian nationalist house. We even spot a row of racist mugs, missing the one we pulled from the bin. Whoever lives here might have been using the Whirling's trash can and, well, may have an idea on how the victim's clothes got there. At worst, they're a dead end, at best, another witness, one who put the clothes in there. We pass Kuno on our way back, and rather than give him the kilo, we keep the drugs, earning Kim's trust for later, one of many spinning plates that can impact the endgame. Kim's a great guy though, so we want him on our side. We head back to Everard and decide to play ball with him, letting him know we're on the same corrupt side of the table.
Exactly the kind of fascist memorabilia I was expecting. Weasel probably prays to it every night for the downfall of the Union.
He was testing you, and you succeeded.
Everard kindly tells us some things we already know, that the Wild Pines had sent in some bad folks to stop the Union strike. Our victim had got a bit touchy, and even their own negotiator, Joyce, couldn't control them. Everard tells us the same story the Hardys told us, and when we question them about the Hardy boys, he says they'll play ball with us from now on, giving us a little bit more leeway in the skill check when we go back to them. There's a lot of opening cans and heading back once you find a spoon to eat them in this game. When you're with the Hardys,
Looks like the circus left town, but the clowns are still here.
remember there is still a missing Hardy girl after all. We'll actually, before you remember that, speak to Joyce and investigate the Union's drug trafficking antics. Those two threads line up quite nicely. The missing Hardy boy is actually a Hardy girl, and she's also a truck driver, her pedals revealing how one might smooth just one sole of their shoes. During the side op, we can find her way into her truck. Alongside evidence, she was part of a drug smuggling operation, implicating the Hardys too. The more ammo we have, the better chance we'll have of asserting authority over them. Hell, you can even talk to the merc hiding out at the strike itself and get something to scare them with. See, the mercenaries are planning their own investigation too. Feed the Hardys the information and use the buffs to your authority check to get them to talk to you. You compare them to deadbeat cops who don't care about the victim, and this seems to hit a chord with them, telling them that of course someone's been assaulted and that they need help. He doesn't want us questioning her, but thanks to serendipity, it's someone we've met before. Hell, if your morale's low enough, this whole interaction can and will kill you. It's the blonde from upstairs, the one who at the start of the game said we'd be interrogating her later. There's some rough lines from your rhetoric too.
Whatever you do, don't say the first thing.
We head upstairs to speak to the last person to see the victim before the lynching. Exploring her room, we find she's a bit of a party girl, and the vials in her bathroom cupboard would make Diddy blush. Her bedroom is on the rooftop, a window having been recently repaired, but nothing else standing out just yet. Really, all we can do at this point is go and talk to her. She thanks us for getting rid of the body, and we realise she has had a full vantage point to the garden this whole time. Kim introduces himself. She's a hard cat to read, but we begin the investigation. Her name is Classier Amandu, from the Republic of Oranje. The tattoos on the victim were the waterways of Oranje. We ask her for a passport, but she had buried it off the coast, apparently good tourist advice. We ask her about her room and why she's here.
I'm wintering.
How long have you been staying here?
About 4 months. I came in November.
We talk of the replaced window, but she doesn't tell us anything. And then we ask her about the assault, where she states She wasn't assaulted at all. She was told in non-explicit terms to say the soldier assaulted her by the Hardy Boys, but the story is slightly more complicated. She partied with the soldier, they drank, did drugs, and if anything, cared about each other. It almost seems like there's a relationship of some kind involved. Glacier was the one who called the police. After days of seeing the body outside of her window, she just snapped. We ask her about the night of the death, but she asks if we could talk about it later when her nerves settle, and she seems very unaware the man was shot. We're not detecting any theatrecraft or lies from her, but her story does not line up. She says she was cowering downstairs with Sylvie on the night of the lynching, yet didn't hear a gunshot in the backyard. We don't have much to go off, but at this point we know 3 things. The Hardys didn't pull the trigger, the lynching was staged, and someone else wanted the truth buried. Flopping down the stairs and jumping straight in with that she wasn't assaulted, Titus admits that Glacier couldn't be trusted. The other Hardys accuse her of being in denial, but our detective sense says they're trying to divert us, and we manhandle the conversation back on track by telling them to cut the crap. Titus wants to hit us but can't, and he hands us a recording of the soldier saying that it would corroborate the story. But with the evidence we've gathered already, we don't even need to listen to it. At the same time, we also see a key hanging from a window behind them, which you could have grabbed at any point if you had a high enough roll. It opens a locked door in the back of the Whirling to a pinball workshop, with an elevator going straight up to Glacier's room, perfect for getting a body up and down discreetly. Kim gets some characterization here too. We remember him as Kimball, the cop who infiltrated an illegal pinball ring, and he's almost embarrassed by it.
I was a juvenile police officer for over 15 years. It's how I started out. It was not okay. I needed to become a pinball champion.
Now, go and buy a record player from the pawn shop and listen to the most vitriolic boasting by the dead soldier.
When this shit is done, I'm gonna tear that place up. Soldier of the Apocalypse style. Gonna run a room, Cordy. A real nice. I'll fucking do them all in.
He's not a good guy, chewed up and churned by a life of skirmishes and murders. Glacier seems to repeat pretty much verbatim what the recording said without having listened to it herself, allegedly. The guy was a monster, but he never did anything to her. Hell, she really did like him, and she's not a good person either. With Glacier slightly disarmed, we ask her about the victim, clarifying the results of our autopsy. He was also from Oranje. He was 42, had blue eyes, and his tattoos were indeed maps of the waterways, where he could mount the history of his skirmishes. Now, Glacier isn't innocent in all his crime business, but Disco Elysium isn't really interested in punishment so much about the damage it does to people. Back to the Hardys again. We tell Titus that Glacier heard the tape and still corroborates she wasn't assaulted. We ask Titus to wrap things up for us. He claims they hanged him again, but his act is slowing down. He's getting sick of pretending. We convince Titus he's being manipulated by someone. Well, we can't convince him, but perhaps one of his boys. We besmirch the good name of Martinez, saying they'll just kill you for being foreign here, and the boys start to argue. We then find the weak link in the chain. We press it, despite one of the boys threatening to shoot, and just like that the chain snaps. The boys didn't even kill the man, someone else did. Now that we're in, we can get some truthful answers for once. The soldier was already dead before he was hung, wanting to hide the real cause of death. The 8 Hardy Boys allegedly didn't kill the man. There was a bullet hole through the window the man was shot mid-coitus with Glacier. We ask why they covered the thing up if it wasn't one of their crimes, but it's because Glacier is hiding from some very dangerous people from her past. They didn't want the police investigating her. If her name came up on any systems, she'd be done for. Titus, in fact, apologises for lying to us in a roundabout way, claiming to just be protecting a fellow person in need. I like Titus a lot.
Glad you understand that. Me too.
The lieutenant.
You do that. She, Glacier, came to Martinez to hide. That's right. If we didn't take care of the people who end up here, this place would just be a couple of ruins and some cargo containers.
We check the window and realise that the shot likely came from further away than the roof, perhaps one of 3 different vantage points all leading across the river to the west. Either the boardwalk, an islet, or somewhere else entirely. We ask Titus that we want to speak to the 8th Hardy, the Hardy girl. Her name's Ruby, but we're gated by a logic check to present a sound theory to him of why the police would want to talk to her. We need to convince the man that it's for her own protection, or he will not sell her out to us. Now, we can just head across the river. Up until Wednesday, the game has it inaccessible. Some dolt had crashed their car through a sign that leaded into a dry dock. The rubble has been removed now on Wednesday, unlocking another section of Martinez. We reset the dry dock and get rolling. There's 4 areas of real note here: a fishing village, important to the main plot and the sit of another side job for Everard, a church which may or may not be hiding a hole in the universe, a boardwalk which becomes more important later, and the cryptozoologist camp. Remember the wife we met at the very start of the game? Here's where her husband is. He's looking for a specific cryptid called the Phasmid. Now, before we advance any further than the shore, we examine the remnants of a crashed vehicle. The thing that had ruined the dry dock earlier in the week. A vehicle that we suddenly realise is actually our own. At one point or another, we drove down here, crashed the thing, and we sit on the swings with Kim, waiting for the tide to shorten. We whistle with the man, learning a little bit about him as we do, and really just having a moment to breathe. The tide shrinks, and we find not only a sergeant's jacket, but our own ID, with our rank and name. We're actually Harrier Dubois, Lieutenant Double Inferior, making us Kim's superior. We've been this rank for 4 months. Well, that's one missing item solved anyway. We've got our ID, but we still need our missing gun. We head to the fishing village, encountering a blind washerwoman who decides to let us stay in a spare hut of hers. She refuses to sign the mysterious document Everard has given us, one to allow him to build real estate nearby. This is his second mission. But a boatwoman and a crackhead sign this document for us. Everard tells us after this business that a homeless woman has our gun, and he'll arrange a meeting with her for 10 PM or after on that same day. She's a bit loco, but we'll be fine. Everard reveals he's using the lynching as an excuse to go to war with the Wild Pines. He has hundreds of union workers and he wants this conflict to happen. He's got the numbers on his side and he can muscle out the other group. There's one character's motivation now on paper. The Wild Pines rep actually wants this conflict to de-escalate on the other hand, as she fears an outright confrontation and what it can do to the landscape of Martinez. At the same time, Titus tells us that Ruby, the 8th Hardy, had fled out to the west. Checking the blind woman's spare room, we find a stashed bullet under the floorboards, and we ask her about it, revealing that Ruby had also stayed there. She'd likely heard Kim's car drive by, as we did at the start of the game, and fled at the same point as we woke up. She's somewhere on the peninsula, and this arc is all about finding her. Unfortunately, I'm going to skip most of the peninsula section to allow you as a player to enjoy it. There's a ton of mystery here, we'll touch on it slightly later, and it would have been better enjoyed with a more in-depth commentary or with a greater understanding of the game by playing it. 2 things this video won't be providing you enough of. What I will show is us finding our gun, currently being held by an old homeless woman cosplaying as a police car.
Show me your hands.
Scavenge. Her hand is trembling.
Madame, please drop the firearm immediately.
Failure to comply.
Her eyes bulge.
What could be a rather messy situation is snuffed when we realise the gun she is toting is actually lacking any bullets. We grab the gun while she has a bit of an episode. So we decide instead of arresting her, we should let the Hardy boys know and they can handle it. They want to be the law of the land and it would bring us closer to them as a group. See, for all their gruffness, they do seem to have a genuine care for the people of Martinez, and they do provide good help. With that and a few other tasks completed, we find ourselves at a mural on the boardwalk, and we think we've narrowed Ruby down to it. After a ridiculously hard skill check that you'll likely have to do those side quests to pass, Harry develops the hunch that she's under the building. There's a couple ways in. I choose to manifest myself teleporting up a rickety ladder, and Harry believes he is teleporting too, until Kim reveals all we did was just climb it with our eyes closed. The building is a ruin, with no real signs of life as we enter, and as we descend to the bottom floor, flashlight in hand, we let Kim in through a service entrance we completely missed. We discover footprints in the tunnels beneath the boardwalk, one sole worn smooth. Ruby is definitely here. This is a critical juncture in the story, and advancing further will put you in the endgame, so make sure you're prepared, stocked up and ready to finish this. When you turn the corner, you're blasted with thousands of radio signals at once, some sort of trap Ruby had set up that is mulching through our health. A pale latitude compressor, she calls it. See, the world we're in isn't like our own. Without getting too sciencey, we exist in a realm of space-time in real life. so matter surrounds us, or the absence of matter in some cases. Here, the world is spaces full of matter separated by a connective tissue called the pale. She's condensing the pale signals into a single point, our skulls. Normally you'd use that to transmit normal signals in a normal way. We keep her talking, waiting for an opening. She thinks we're here to hunt her down, get retribution for the soldier, and our detective voices tell us the moment we switch this thing off, we won't have any time to question her. So we keep asking her about the situation. She compliments us as a human can opener, and we discover that she wasn't the one who shot and killed the soldier, surprisingly. The shot didn't even come from the east side of the town, or everyone would have heard it. She was just caught up in the mess and decided, the same as Classier and the Titus boys, that she should help clean it up. We lurch forward rather slowly and then slam the machine to the ground.
He did it. The compressor lies broken on its side.
Switching it off, and in response, Ruby decides to put the barrel of her gun right in her mouth, rather than be captured. The only way to save her here is to let her go. Kim doesn't mind this route, as he knows she wasn't the murderer, or at least he suspects it quite heavily, and really she's got no reason to die. Letting Ruby go is the game asking whether justice actually improves anything, or if it just creates another corpse here. You, as the player, get to make that choice. We check her tent, and her journal corroborates that she didn't kill the man. Even if staging a lynching is a crime too, she didn't murder him. We head back to town, and you might spot things are a bit different. For one, you can't fast travel, and as you approach the whirling in rags, your inner voice may ask you to draw your pistol, ready for what's to come. We approach the whirling in rags, pistol out, and we spot 3 armoured individuals holding the Hardy Boys up at gunpoint. One of them we've seen, it was the mercenary hiding amongst the strikers, but the other 2 we've not encountered at all. This is their mercenaries' tribunal, and they're all pissed out of their heads. Their attempt at soldier's justice. They believe one of the Hardys responsible. After all, they did all claim to kill the man in front of the whirling in rags, but we know better and we jump between the group. Many paths lie ahead of us, ones where we die, where the Hardys die, where Kim dies, but in my path we try to talk the armed goons down, talking about their previous assignment and at least getting them distracted enough to take their hands off their weapons. We don't know the exact culprit, so we can't point the blame on a specific person for the murder, and the Hardy Boys' attempt at arrest evasion earlier, as said, has made the soldiers believe they did it. Even when we say the guy was shot, not hung, they just don't believe us. With no real paths left forward, we shoot at Kortenauer, the soldier aiming his gun, and our bullet lands between his cheeks. The soldier holding the rifle next to him misses their shot at us as we dodge, but a third gunman aims for Kim. Kim's shot lands on the rifleman, and the woman takes out a Hardy Boy by missing Kim. We run out of luck and get shot by Kortenauer as we drop like a sack of spuds. In this moment of life and death, we tell Kim we lied about losing our memory, that we're a failure whose wife left them. We see the woman sneaking up on Kim but manage to scream as a last-ditch effort, and Kim gets out of the way. While we were shot, we've managed to avoid certain death. Kim drags us back to our room and patches us up. At the same way, Gar has actually cleaned our room for us. We've been shot through the thigh, but nothing major's been hurt. A couple of Hardys are down, but we've bought enough time to find the murderer finally at last. Checking Classier's room again, we know for sure now that the shot came from an islet out on the water. We make our peace with Gart and Titus, really turning a leaf, both giving us credit for our skills as a detective and with our pistol. Then we take a boat from the fishing village and head out, blasting sad rock as we do. On the island, you'll find a bunker with signs of life. Someone has definitely been living there. Their books, clothes and bed are all still here. If you sleep in said bed, you'll get to find a dream of what caused Harry's total downward spiral, the day his wife finally left him. A reoccurring nightmare, really, of his greatest failure. I'll just show a snippet of it here.
Of course not. I terminated yours. Don't you remember? You poor fuck.
We find an outcropping, mattress and all, with a perfect vantage point for the shot that killed our lynching victim. An empty can next to it filled with cigarette butts, as if someone had been sat here for hours or days. On the far side of the island, locked away, you'll find the culprit for the murder. An old man, rifle and all, sat in a tracksuit. This man, this deserter, was a member of Revachol's revolutionary army. He had fled before the fighting started and remained around as a stalwart sentinel. A lone communist, the last soldier. He barely reacts at all to the situation unfolding around him. 43 years he's been hiding here, coming to and from the city. You can even find bunkers and evidence of his movements around Revachol with weapons stashed. He had watched the corpse of his city, his ideology through the scope of many islands. But on this one, he saw Classier and became obsessed with her, even stalking her through a hole in her wall which he made when he came to town. You can find flowers from this island on her rooftop to back that up. He kept up his attempts at reinstigating a revolution, trying to turn the original Union, before Everard got there, into a communist organisation before it too fell to capitalism. When the foreign mercenary came and slept with Classier, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. He was jealous both that he felt possessive over her and that she was experiencing happiness when he wasn't, so he pulled back his bolt and shot the man. The deserter as a character isn't here to sing praise to one ideology or another, rather he's Revachol's anger personified, the city having its own character that you'll experience as you play, and the deserter felt great rage for a time when the city still stood for something, regardless of what it stood for. His mental decline is also not just due to dementia or old age, but as you speak to him, something will crop up from a previous conversation with the cryptozoologist and his wife, and you'll discover that they were hunting for a creature called the Insolidian phasmid, a stick insect that shows itself now, having been hiding on this island too. The creature speaks directly to us, directly in our mind, asking us about our experience, and we tell it that the world is fire. We tell it of all the creatures we have met, it's the kindest, and it tells us to let go of our horrid past, to move on and live. The world is hopeful and glittering, and regardless of what we've experienced, what Revachol has gone through, the world will always exist full of this hope. A sweet note at the end of quite a bitter story. Its presence had made the deserter decline faster, but it's made Harry almost turn over another leaf. Speaking to the deserter, we get our motive, we see him there with the weapon, we really can tie this up. He's not going anywhere, and he's basically immobile at this point, so we take a boat back to shore to get some reinforcements, medical aid, and shut the case for good. Policemen from our station, ones who were meant to be our reinforcements, have been here the whole time hiding, and you can encounter them in several places in the game. Here they've come to scrape us off the pavement, including our partner, well, ex-partner, who we'd forgotten entirely. This is Harry's final exam. Failing to provide evidence that we've gotten better will lead us to losing our job, but we can pass this exam. We tell them at length of what we've seen in Martinez, the people we've helped, the case from motive to methodology. Hell, we even tell them about the new species we've discovered. Some of the most impactful things here are that we've gotten back on the wagon and haven't taken any drugs or alcohol since the game started, that we have befriended Kim and others within the city, and Kim vouches for us too. Despite our wrongdoings, in my game Harry was redeemed, and we ask him to join us at our station. All in all, a case solved, a broken man fixed, and a neat bow on the top of this game. I enjoy the endings available in Disco Elysium, so really, what did we miss? Several things I'd kept intentionally vague, as this game deserves every single new player it can get. 1. Where are all the armour pieces? You can still find the Lynchman's armour, you can get the whole set, and it does come in clutch helping you in the Tribunal. 2. There is a literal hole within the world hidden within the church. Advancing the quest there can even lead to a new ending once you discover it and the nature of it, and the thing is hinted at through various areas. If you go into the bookshop in Martinez and go in the back room, that will get you started. 3. If Kim dies during the Tribunal, you can recruit Kuno as your partner for the ending section. 4. Several secrets around the nature of if the rich are even human in this game. Speak to the Wild Pines rep to find out about reality. Find out what's in the lone container in the Union dock, and, a few other things. Let's conclude. So what the hell is Disco Elysium even about? On the surface, it's a murder mystery that spirals outward until the murder almost stops really mattering. It's just a vehicle for us to explore many different themes, political, emotional, different bits of character development. We begin with a corpse in a tree and end with a man who waited to react to his failures 43 years too late, hiding on an island that history forgot. Along the way we chase dock workers, mercenaries, union bosses, corporate negotiators, addicts, racists, idealists, ghosts of failed revolutions, and all the while the real investigation is happening inside Harry Dubois himself. The game starts with the total annihilation of Harry. You have no name, no face, and no past. And piece by piece, through Revachol and its people, Harry reconstructs not just what happened, but who he is. Every key plot point mirrors that process, and it's really unique to each playthrough. The lynching that wasn't a lynching, the crime scene staged to protect someone fragile, the missing gun, the missing badge, the crashed car, physical evidence of a man who had already given up long before the game began. Even the deserter himself serves as a distorted reflection of Harry, someone who just couldn't let go, who chose bitterness and stasis over actual healing and was slowly eaten by it. Revachol itself matters just as much as any character. This city is a wound that never closed. It never recovered after its failed revolution, the foreign capital, the Union strongmen, and the corporate mercenaries. Every faction you encounter is compromised and dirty in some way. Every ideology is half-baked. Disco Elysium doesn't ask you to even know much about politics, even though it mentions it so much. It just asks what happens to people after this politics fails. The Deserter is an example. Isn't just about communism's victory or condemnation. He's what happens when history moves on and someone refuses to move with it. He could have been any political alignment. There's also something deeply human about how the game treats failure. Harry is not redeemed because he solves the case and he's a good detective. Harry doesn't end the game redeemed because he solved the case. He's redeemed, unlike the Deserter, because he didn't face the truth alone. And unlike the Hardys, he didn't hide from the truth either. Harry tries, but because he listens, because he fights back against the flow, he gets through with that redemption. Kim Kitsuragi is the game's quiet thesis of professionalism, kindness, restraint, and belief in doing the work even when the world gives you no reason to. In a city defined by extremes, Kim represents decency without spectacle, and there's so many aspects of his character that you can dive into that just aren't given the spotlight unless you look into them. And then there's the Phasmid, I guess. After all the ugliness, after the war crimes and exploitation, the game gives you something impossibly gentle. A creature thought to be a fantasy steps into view and tells you plainly that you can just let go. The world is still beautiful, you can be redeemed. That despite everything you may have gone through, existence persists. It's not a reward for getting to the end or some sort of secret you have to uncover. It's just a quiet reminder that wonder exists even in the ruins of the city. Wonder exists within Harry too. Disco Elysium isn't about saving Revachol or solving the crime. It isn't even about fixing Harry. It's about the damage people live with, personal, political, historical even, and deciding moment by moment whether you will become hardened by it or softened instead. And as you play, you can make Harry become harder or softer if you really want to. Whether you want to turn inward and rot, or reach outward and try again, the game is letting you take whichever path you want to. Light Harry on fire, become the Disco Elysium if you wish, or do something better. The case gets solved, the killer is caught, but there are many junctions where things could turn out vastly differently if you go through with a different mindset behind you. It's a very, very good RPG, disguised as a detective game, and that's before you even add in this weird, uncanny world itself and all the sci-fi mumbo-jumbo, the special armors, the pale. It's insanely unique, and you will see additional layers each time you play it. Honestly, 10 out of 10. Over and out, Smooth Brains.